talk a little bit about what you do, if you could, because obviously I'm struggling.
Okay, well that's the first time I've heard what we're talking about. So I'm a marine scientist, and since university I've been studying aquatic or marine ecosystems in the wild as a marine scientist. I've mapped a lot of Australia's coral and seagrass habitats, but the whole time and at uni 30 years ago, I was working out how to keep them in aquariums sustainably and low maintenance and simple for everyone. And that's the product that we now have on the market called Living Ecosystems.
Now, let's just delve into the negatives. Naturally, in our ecosystem, when we talk about, coral and all that sort of stuff, it's quite detrimental at the minute, isn't it? Like we've really, unfortunately, ruined a lot of ecosystems from a marine point of view. Tell us a little bit about the background about that and how we've managed to get to this point and what we actually need to do now to try and help sustain some sort of natural ecosystem there.
Well, just a light question to start with, hey?
We're just going straight in.
Okay, so I've spent a lot of time on the ocean studying marine habitats and across big spatial areas, because I've also specialised in mapping marine habitats. So I've covered a lot of ground around the world, not just here. And I guess in my time I haven't seen a lot of direct impact beyond the direct impact of dredging or oil and gas activities. But as far as global warming goes, I guess and I'm not an expert in this field, but our water's warming up and it's creating more extreme events, as you guys probably know better than I do, right? Now, in the ocean, small degree changes of temperature have big impacts, and as cyclones come through, they get more intense and all that sort of thing. We're getting bigger areas wiped out more often, which I think everyone knows that as well. But the opportunity is there's resilient strains of coral, but also seagrass and algae as well, that replenish in those areas some of the time, or a lot of the time. Actually, the Ross Islands off the west coast here is a unique area where we get warm water and cold water mixing, and really warm water in summer and cold water in winter. And there's strains of coral that are more resilient. They call them super corals. And what we've done is we've sort of taken those more resilient corals and then aquaculture them so they're even more resilient. And we're putting them in aquariums, but there's big projects to put them back in the ocean as well. So, I guess to turn the whole global warming issue around is not something I'm going to be able to tackle, but there's solutions, and nature has a way to rebalance, and we see that in our aquariums, and that's why it's really cool for kids to see that, how resilient nature is, but also how sensitive it can be.
Yeah, as you're talking and going through all this, it's almost exactly the same from a plant's point of view. Like here in Perth, obviously climate can be very harsh, and what I think the more we understand, the more knowledge we get around that area, it's about trying to find the right application that's actually going to work long term. And that's what I love here in WA, is that they've really grafted and taken certain elements of plants to be able to utilise in different situations, which I'm sure that's the same sort of thing you do, but just underwater, right?
I mean, there's extra challenges going underwater. It's more expensive and more difficult, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're just in the way earlier stages than where you're at with that. And there's coral farms in Queensland and here on the west coast, and there's research institutes working on it. It's a huge amount of work though. But Australia, WA in particular, has an opportunity to take a global lead role in that, because we have such a big, pristine coastline with the diversity of cold and warm waters and heaps of infrastructure, and we're quite well off, established, and we've got good research institutes. So that's what I'm pitching to the state and federal governments, that we take more of a global lead role in that. Obviously for Living Oceans, the aquarium, the commercial side of my business needs it as well, so I have that. But for the reef replenishment side, which we're not involved in, it spins over, because if we're culturing corals for the aquarium, obviously we get a specimen that goes really well, or we have a technique that works really well, then you can scale it up for the ocean as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, we're talking about. I get people coming to me all the time with these scenarios, like, oh, I've got this really sloping block. this is impossible. And I lick my lips at it. I'm like, this is going to look incredible. And they just can't see it, right? Or we've got these incredibly sandy soil, we can't keep any nutrients. And I'm just like, watch this. You know, so it's all about understanding, first of all, the problem, and then not coming up with a solution, but coming up with something that's not only going to work well, but look unbelievable. And that's what I think a lot of the problem is people can only see the problem and not understand that that could potentially be an incredible space if you have the right application, the right tools, the right materials to make that work. There's an incredible amount of thought that needs to go into these projects before we just start putting applications in and hoping for the best. And I know that's what you've got with your stand. Not only do you create this gorgeous water tank with incredible fish, but you've also created a biofiltration system that actually looks after itself. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, cool. So you're talking about walls and infrastructure. I guess back in the 70s and 80s, aquariums were very popular, and after that, through the 90s and 2000s, they got really technical, and we're trying to strive to keep everything we ever dreamt of in an aquarium. But the modern way, the new trend, and what we're creating is stripping away all the hardware. And why are you keeping that hardware? Why do you want to keep that particular coral? But if you keep this livestock was super hardy and it's aquacultured, then you don't need that, and you get rid of that, you don't need that, and then all of a sudden you've just got macroalgae and corals that suck up those nutrients, and then you got invertebrates that control the algae balance and an auto feeder to control the input. So it's an ecosystem. And then literally we don't even have a filter on the tank. There's no mechanical filter, it's just biological filtration, natural process. The corals get bigger, that's the filter. Fish get bigger, bacteria grow, worms grow. So it's an ecosystem in a box. And what you're talking about is an ecosystem as a landscaping design. And there's no hardware. It's an auto feeder, an auto top up because there's evaporation, and a light that's automated, obviously, and heating.
It's incredible. I think naturally, I have so many conversations. Oh, my plant's not doing well. Oh, my grass isn't doing well. And I've been watering it. It's still not doing well. And it's all education. You know what I mean? Naturally, we just want to water it because we think it's dying, but it might be going into dormancy. It might be overwatered. That's why it's dying. So it's that understanding. First of all, what the negative is, to then be able to create, not only a positive, but then change it to a point where, you're getting unbelievable performance out of that plant or out of that situation. So how do we treat that soil? How do we get the nutrients that the plants need into that soil without completely starting again? And that's, once again, very similar to what you do, but in a completely different application. So
there's heaps of overlap there. I guess we're talking about ecosystem techniques instead of hardware and technology. And if we're talking about negatives into positives, like these ecosystems, whether landscape designs or a pond or an aquarium or a pot plant, I guess, are bringing nature indoors or bringing nature to people. So if you have something that's hard work, a lot of money, a lot of hardware tech, it's a negative mindset and things start dying, you're frustrated, just leave it, go back to nature, let ecosystems take over, and then you get an amazing product. And sometimes it might ebb and flow a little bit, but just don't touch it. And then your mindset's going to be a lot more positive. We're talking a negative into a positive. And obviously bringing nature indoors is really good for your mindset, your mental health. You don't want to make that into a negative mental health issue if you're constantly trying to overwater your plants.
We change the landscape. So habitat gardens currently are a real push, and I think it's a great way of sort of incorporating different elements in your garden. And I would love to see more people do it because I think it's really beneficial. Getting flowering plants to pollinate, to allow things to come through. It's really key. And I think obviously very similar in your situation. You want to try and create an environment that actually thrives through, plants, fish and things like that. But also having cleaners as well that are natural, literally, sucking the algae off the glass and all that sort of stuff. It's incredible. Tell us a bit about that, because I think that's very clever, and it's very much marketed at children, which I think is absolutely genius.
Yeah, it is cool. Like when you first see our tanks, you see Nemo, clownfish, and you look closer, you see the coral. But really, and then you see, like we'll talk to you about the hermit crabs and the zombie snails and the. But then beyond that, in the sand, there's worms and there's bacteria and there's these little crustaceans that live inside the blocks called pods, copepods, amphipods. And to me, like when you put the torch on the tank at night is actually the best time to look at it. And kids actually discover that. They'll probably quicker than adults would. They'll start to like look at it closer and like, what is that thing there? And then it's like, well, that algae's photosynthesizing, taking the nutrients out. That little pod is eating the algae, and then that guy's eating that. And then, you know, it's just such a good educational tool for kids. And we've found that with some parents have come in and they said, oh, my kids saw your ad on socials. And they've mentioned they want a clownfish, so here we are. And I'm like, whoa, I never even thought we would target kids. We're targeting parents.
It's incredible. And the truth of the matter is the kids then educate the parents. And it's an incredible cycle of how it all works. But they're genuinely passionate and driven to do the work, which is absolutely incredible. And it's great to know for the future that kids actually want to try and benefit and create a really good ecosystem, you know, going forward and understanding where everything goes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel really fortunate to have a product that can educate people in that way, not just kids, but adults as well. And you're talking about the reefs. And if you have one of our aquariums, I mean, I started in aquariums, became a marine scientist, started companies in marine science, all because I had a fish tank when I was young. And I knew the corals intimately because not only had I kept them alive in my lounge room, then I was seeing them out in the ocean. I'm like, oh, now I can see why that coral does that. And the kids are the same, and regardless of how old they are. If they're 4 years old, they'll see something in the tank. But 10 and 12, that's starting to do water chemistry.
I'm really worried that kids aren't going to have that, and that's what scares me, you know what I mean? Being outside, being active, being in nature, all that sort of stuff, it brings back all these memories of, you know, when you smell something, when you touch something, when you feel something. I feel like that's what these kids are missing, and it breaks my heart because they're some of the best memories that I've got, you know, having people that usually aren't even with us anymore and all that sort of stuff. Like subconsciously we don't realise, but when we do smell that or feel that or see that, it all comes flooding back, and I think that's incredibly important for the kids to have.
Yeah, you don't get that from a phone.
Can't get that on Candy Crush.
No, and yeah, like I was saying, I think that's really what motivated us to create the product we did. And we want to take this to the world as well. We want to change the global aquarium industry to make it sustainable, but also to make it accessible to everyone. So, you know, you've got the option of landscaping your outside if you have an outside. You've got pot plants inside, but we want to bring more than that inside. We want to bring in like an actual ecosystem. We've got a freshwater model coming out in the future. We've got seahorses going to be released in September. Right now we've got the clownfish. But, you know, like we really want to take this to the world, and, you know, it's a beautiful thing to have.
We were talking a little earlier, I've got a good friend of mine, well, I call him a friend, he probably just calls me a weirdo, but Ben Hutchinson, he does aquatic pools, so eco pools, and incredible amount of knowledge that goes into making sure that they sort of self-filtrate with obviously the ecosystem that's in the pool. And they're also becoming unbelievably popular in and around Melbourne, and I'm sure that will be here too as well. But once again, having that option to sort of reconnect, swim in a pool that's completely natural, and people are really making the most of being out and enjoying outdoor space, obviously in a beautiful natural pool as well, which is great.
Oh, it's amazing. Isn't it funny though, like Friday I gave a presentation here and it was on modern trends in aquariums, and it wasn't tech or hardware, it was actually going back to nature, ecosystems, keep them easy, balanced, and swimming pools have done the same. So a simple understanding of nature and how that sort of environment works with plants taking nutrients out and the bacterial filtration that we were talking about earlier, got rid of chlorine. You get rid of chlorine, then you've got life, and then you keep it balanced. As long as no one pees in there or like creates a massive imbalance.
Guilty.
No one admits to it. But, you know, like, that's an example of like when you take something out, you thought it was always necessary, but you look at, is it necessary if we do that differently? Then all of a sudden you got a pool that looks after itself. There's no water chemistry, there's no like chloramine and chlorine and pH, or pH is always important, but yeah, like, because when you do that, you're watering everything around it. Like, obviously everything needs water, and you get an aquatic environment, an estuarine, or like, you know, that damp environment around the back of your house. Get all those animals coming in you're talking about, but you've got not just like a soil environment, then you've got an aquatic environment right next to it. You create a whole another realm.
It's incredible.
Probably get the snakes moving as well.
Yeah. I mean, I just think to me that's unbelievably important. If you can balance all that in a backyard, I think that's probably one of the most, it'd be incredible. But it's about the knowledge, understanding how everything works, how it functions, how you can then maintain it and get longevity out of it. That's key. It's all about knowledge and understanding. And I think I'm asking you guys nicely, do your homework. Before you start your project, look into everything. Time is your best friend, basically. So I think we're just about done. Is that right, James? Have we waffled enough?
I love how he says time is his best friend as I start walking towards the stage. I'm going to sit in this amazing swivel chair.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing?
It's delectable.
It's like I'm here, but then I'm not.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have to use my legs.
Yeah.
Guys, I could literally sit and listen to you all afternoon. I think it's wonderful. We are blessed with the talent. Will we be seeing you starting to bring this product over to the Eastern Seaboard?
I was actually talking to Dan before I might join the roadshow.
The roadshow.
I've found this
The Home Show roadshow.
The Home Show roadshow has been incredible for us. Like, we've just been here twice in Perth. This is where we're from.
Yes.
But the event organisers and yourself, James, and everyone that's been supporting us, getting us on the socials, it's been incredible. We've got a massive response.
Wonderful.
And I reckon we should bring it to Melbourne,
I
Sydney,
think we
Brisbane.
should. Bring it. These guys don't care about the Eastern Coast. It's like another country. But we care.
I'm actually from WA.
You are from WA.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, I think it's exactly what the Home Show's about. We're trying to bring together the best of materials and finishes to put in your house and put it all under one roof. You guys have been chatting about something that you love, but the combination of water, the connection with water, you've taken an outside water space into the inside, and we spoke about when you were up on stage. I was the kid, we didn't have the fish tank, but the 3 houses up, you know that how everyone's got it, 3 houses up, they had the most amazing fish tank in the 70s, and my brother and I would just go there and watch these fish go round and round. We didn't have much else to do. But the cost of that at that time and the cleaning, they were constantly doing things, and now you've got a system that cleans for you, really low maintenance, great price point, so it's exciting, and we look forward to seeing that brand grow. And I think, you know, we can never underestimate that connection between nature and indoor-outdoor.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important to be able to, obviously, like you said, everyone here is incredible. No one's coming to this show as an exhibitor unless they absolutely believe in their product. That is the key thing. That's why if you feel like your product is strong, you're going to come to the home shows, you're going to market it.
Yeah.
People who don't believe in their product won't be here.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Go strong or go home.
Exactly right.
Just made that up.
But the feature is a great tool to be able to utilise products, see them in their natural environment. I think we're going to get one of yours in for the next one. We'll talk about that later. But it's a great tool to be able to direct people and have people understand the importance of seeing it in its somewhat natural environment, and then obviously them purchasing it for their own place, so on and so forth.
Beautiful. Please put your hands together for Ben and Dan. Thank you for rounding out an amazing 3 days. We've had such a great lineup of experts here on the stage, sharing all of their knowledge. Thank you very much, gentlemen.